Hello everyone and welcome to the latest episode of the Mooting Partners in Crime podcast. I'm Hayley, a commercial solicitor, and I record these podcasts along with criminal barrister John Dove. And in today's episode, John actually joins us on location because he's busy with a criminal trial in the Crown Court. So it was a good episode and we discussed lots of topics which we hope will be of interest to you, including a bit more inside scoop to the launch of our brand new event, the Northern Pupillage Fair, coming in September 2024. We also discussed our upcoming witness handling session at the Advocacy Club, and we answered some of your questions, including our take on how to deal with disabled and vulnerable clients. And we also gave you an overview of when John and I received our big breaks that helped us gain entry to the legal profession. So we hope you enjoyed this episode, and as always, if you have any comments or questions, do send them in to us. Welcome to the podcast.
And welcome to the next episode of the Mooting Partners in Crime podcast. My name is John.
And my name's Hayley.
And welcome along to the podcast.
Hi everyone.
Hello everyone. You might notice our surroundings look a little bit different today. Normally,
well, yours do.
Well, mine does anyway. Normally you'll see us sat one side each on the sort of kitchen table and or dining table, I should say. Today I'm coming to you live from a Crown Court because I've been away at trial all week. So we thought, hey, let's film the podcast on location.
Yeah, we should get a little bit of credit for the dedication in this, John. We say we're going to bring you a podcast every single week, and even when you're away at trial, so we haven't been able to get together to record it, we said find a space in a conference room and we'll still record it. So
exactly,
kudos to us.
So just to give you some context there. So for those who know, for those who don't know as well, we always start our episodes with an explanation of the episode number. So this is episode 21. And we always like to name our episodes after generally an athlete with the corresponding number. And if possible, someone from Formula One. Now, Hayley, you'll be pleased to know that this week, once again, is Formula One.
Oh, such a relief.
Yeah. The 20s are pretty good, actually. I think most of the 20s have got Formula One drivers.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So this is number 21.
21.
Is it a current driver?
No.
Oh, do you think will I be able to guess who it is?
Probably not.
Okay.
He's Mexican, and he's not Sergio Perez.
No idea. Couldn't even begin to guess.
Esteban Gutierrez. Esteban Gutierrez, so Mexican Formula One driver. Drove for Sauber. I can't remember if he drove for anyone else. And I've got a feeling he is currently the Mercedes reserve driver alongside Mick Schumacher.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if you still do, but you did used to see him occasionally in the Mercedes garage, and whenever they'll cut to a shot of Toto Wolff looking at the screen intently, and you'll see Esteban Gutierrez stood next to him.
Aww.
So, good driver. I think he's gone on to do other things. He might have been in Formula E after he finished in F1. Good driver. So welcome to episode 21, the Esteban Gutierrez episode.
Welcome. So I thought we'd start just with a little recap update of the Northern Pupillage Fair. So if anyone missed our podcast episode last week, we announced the launch of a brand new event and the biggest event ever for us, isn't it, John?
Yeah, it's got to
So
be.
the Northern Pupillage Fair is coming to the north, funnily enough.
Surprising.
The 28th of September, which is a Saturday, in the Liverpool Liner Hotel. We are going to be connecting anybody and everybody who is aspiring to be a barrister or an advocate or just wants to know a little bit more about life at the bar. We've got tons of chambers, law firms, educational institutions and other organisations for you to meet and to listen to some really great educational talks as well.
Absolutely. I mean, I thought, there is a bar outside of the M25, so I thought, hey, why can't people in the north meet with pupillage providers and other organisations within the law. So it'll be a great opportunity for those in the north and even those in the south. If you fancy a nice day out in Liverpool, come along, meet some chambers, meet some firms, meet some education providers, meet other organisations, as you say, Hayley, that will provide you the opportunities to hopefully get you closer to pupillage, help you with your advocacy, build your CV. So it's going to be a cracking day. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. And the response since we've publicly launched has just been incredible, hasn't it, John?
It's insane.
100 signed up like in the first couple of days. Like, we really hoped it was going to be received well, because don't you, John, from your own law student days, how valuable something like this would have been.
Oh yeah.
But it's so great to see that, the uptake has been amazing. So we knew it was going to be a success. We knew it was going to be great, but just seeing the initial receptions just kind of validated us that we did the right thing in bringing this to the north.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm looking forward to it, and I hope you guys are all going to have a great day at the Northern Pupillage Fair.
Yep. And I think just while we're saying about the reception, we got a really, really nice email through yesterday, didn't we, John?
We did indeed, yeah. Read that email.
Nice. Let's share it. I love emails like this. Let me just find it. Okay, so it says, I wanted to take the time to say I am, as well as many others I'm sure, grateful that this event has been established. Many aspiring barristers cannot attend the London Pupillage Fairs due to financial constraints and caring responsibilities, so this event will open up invaluable networking opportunities for those based in the north. Thank you, Speed Mooting, for levelling up the playing field, and I look forward to attending in September.
Yeah, love that. And that's what it's all about, levelling up the playing field. I remember back in my day, working as a paralegal, not making much money, having to spend your disposable income on an expensive train ticket down to London. Then you got all the other expenses that's involved with a day out in London just to go down and meet the providers and whatever it is. And they were fantastic days, don't get me wrong. But if you're in the north and you've not got much money, it's a big commitment going down there. And not only that, as the email indicates, people have other responsibilities. You can't just drop everything and travel the other end of the country for a day. So it gives people an opportunity up here, and I think that's true for everything that we do. We try and level the playing field and give everyone a chance, because there's so many people that just don't have opportunities, and that's why we put on so many competitions to give people the chance to go try some advocacy, build their CV, put some kudos on their CV through success in a competition. Not many people come from a background where naturally they'll be trained in public speaking or advocacy as a youth. Certainly you and I, Hayley, we went to state schools. You don't get trained in public speaking when you're
not at all.
When you're in a state school. It just doesn't happen. Let's be frank. So people like you and I, we go to university, and you're trying to take part in an advocacy competition or whatever it might be, and there's a gulf between the ability in certain individuals that have had certain educations and others. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with that. That's fine if you've had a great education, but not everybody has that opportunity. And that's why I've set up the Advocacy Club, so everyone's got the opportunity to come along, practice advocacy, receive some helpful feedback and improve. So, you think about it, if you join the Advocacy Club in university, that means that by the time you finish third year, you will have taken part in probably 40, 50 advocacy club sessions, and of course your advocacy is going to move on significantly during that time. So that's I think that they've hit the nail on the head there. That's what we do. We level the playing field. Yeah.
Really like that.
And I like seeing emails like that. So we hope to see more of them.
Yes, definitely. I mean, just speaking of the Advocacy Club, I've said before, haven't I, John, if something like that existed when I was a student, 100% I would have joined it. Yeah, I don't think little law student Hayley would have ever been brave enough to do a competition. Maybe, but probably not. But the Advocacy Club, 100%, that would have been something that I would have done. And that would have perhaps built up my confidence in public speaking, because I did think of the bar initially the way most law students do, because that's what we see on the movies and the TV, isn't it? Yeah. And then first year into uni, I was like, no, I think I'll be a solicitor instead. And that was probably one of the main reasons. It was also because the subjects that I really liked in university pushed me towards the commercial route and the commercial solicitor route. But mainly choosing that decision, I was like, I'm not naturally a gifted public speaker. I don't naturally love being in the limelight. So the solicitor route is probably better for me. So if I would have had something like the Advocacy Club back then, who knows? I might have ended up at the bar.
Well, that's it, and I think that's why so many people are put off by the bar, because they think that, you know, you've got to present in a certain way, you need this certain bar voice, and, you know, okay, I've not got the Scousest accent in the world, but there is a Scouse accent there, and I use that in front of juries when I present a closing speech, because I think that juries warm to people like that, you know, warm to people speaking to them like a normal person would. You know, there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. You know, of course, if you've got, you know, whatever your accent is, it doesn't matter whether you speak with received pronunciation or you've got a local accent, it doesn't matter. But it's all about being yourself. And I think a lot of people who have regional accents think, oh, if I go into court, I've got to put on this bar voice and try and pretend to be something I'm not. And then you don't come across as authentic. And I think that's what puts people off a lot. You know, they think they've got to be something that they're not. The reality is you don't. Be yourself, be authentic, be personable. And juries like that. Or, you know, even, you know, professional tribunals if you're doing other areas of law that aren't crime. So, you know, don't think that you've got to be something else. And that's the nice thing about the Advocacy Club. People can come along, they practice, they're doing it regularly, and they find their style, they find their feet, and they think, do you know what? Advocacy isn't something that, you know, that we put on a pedestal that only a certain few people can do. Anyone can do advocacy. It's just about practice.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, you're in court right now, and
I am
you could
indeed.
be called back to court at any time. So
just waiting on a time.
Yeah, we're going to keep this episode relatively short, which we hope you can forgive us for. Obviously, John's clients need to come first. So, shall we move on to Ask Speed Squad, and we'll get through some questions that we've had?
Definitely.
Okay, so the first question which we got on our YouTube channel was a question that someone had themselves in interview, and they're not sure if they answered it correctly. That's why they've asked for our take on it, John.
Okay.
And the question is, how would you deal with a disabled client, in brackets, as a barrister? So, yeah, I think I will just say firstly, obviously I'm not a barrister, but I did deal with a lot of vulnerable and disabled clients, particularly in my time at mortgage repossession. And the way I would just say to deal with it is firstly to understand that every disability is different. So there's no, you know, one size fits all. And the most important thing to do is fact find, and don't be scared to ask questions, ask the sensitive questions, and find out as much information as you can, and as much information as your client, you know, is willing to give. So just knowing that somebody is disabled isn't enough. You need to know how that disability affects them, because without knowing that, you know, how can you make reasonable adjustments or make sure that you're treating that person fairly? So don't be scared to talk to them about it, ask them the questions, and make sure that you do everything in your power to overcome any difficulties they might face. So yeah, I know I'm not a barrister, but that'd be my take on it. Just make sure you understand the disability and you do all you can to give them the reasonable adjustments that they need.
Yeah, no, I think you've hit the nail on the head there. And I think, you know, if this was brought to your attention beforehand, particularly in a brief to counsel, you might want to just give the solicitors a ring and just make sure that they've had a chat with the client, and they've spoken with them about, particularly if it's a physical disability, making sure that they know about any sort of accessibility points that they have with court, make sure that person can physically access the court building, and that any needs are dealt with there. What you also might want to do is, you know, as you say, the sensitive questions when you're in conference, speak with the clients and just see whether they'll have any, you know, additional needs going into the courtroom. And of course, you can address that with the usher beforehand, maybe even the judge if necessary, to make sure that any needs can be accommodated. If it's something beyond a physical disability and it might affect the way in which they give evidence, of course, you might want to speak with your solicitor about whether that person needs special measures. You know, it might be that they might have communication difficulties and therefore might need an intermediary to assist them with giving evidence. So that's something that you would need to discuss with your solicitor beforehand, and discuss whether you might need to make certain applications to the court, whether you need a ground rules hearing, whether you need an intermediary report. So just other considerations that you might need to take into account. But I think, as you say, Hayley, it's just really about taking a thinking approach in advance and making sure that your client's needs can be dealt with.
Yeah. And, you know, it's not a taboo subject. Don't be scared to talk about it with the clients, with the solicitors.
And, you know, that's the very nature of this job, particularly with regards to criminal law. You know, you're often discussing very, very sensitive topics with all clients, or most clients. So you get to a point whereby you become comfortable talking about sensitive matters. And ultimately, you know, you may need to speak with your clients about those matters to ensure that you can give them the highest level of service and to ensure that their needs are appropriately accommodated. So, you know, within time, you become accustomed to speaking with clients about sensitive matters, and I'm sure the client will be grateful because you're making sure they get the best service possible.
Perfect. Well, I hope that was a helpful answer to the person that asked us that on our YouTube channel. And I think, did you have the next question there, John?
I think I did. So it's a question that's come in via email. And it says, you know, it can be quite difficult for many people to break into this industry, talking about the legal industry. And the question they've given us is, who gave you your big break? Do you want me to?
If you've got an answer, you go first.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't hide this fact. It was very difficult for me to break into this industry. It took me 11 years from finishing my legal studies to make it to the bar, and even breaking into the solicitor's profession before that, I found it massively difficult. You know, so I finished my bar course. I had a good education from a good university. You know, good grades on the bar course. I felt like I was doing everything I needed to afterwards. You know, I'm setting up mooting competitions, taking part in the Liverpool Speakers Club, so developing my public speaking that way. I'm going to court, I'm getting good results. But I just could not catch a break. I could not break into this industry, couldn't get pupillage, couldn't get a training contract. And after a few years of applying, an opportunity came up at a small firm called MAJ Law. And I went for the interview, and I was interviewed by Marcus Johnstone, who did own the firm at the time. And it was an interview that just clicked. You know, it went so well. And Marcus saw something. I don't know what he saw, but he saw something in me. He saw potential. And he's the one who said, you know what, I'm going to take a chance. And he offered me that training contract. You know, he could have easily turned around and said, no, next person, but no. He was the one person that said, you know what, I'm going to give you a chance, and gave me a training contract. And that was what I needed. That was the piece of paper I needed. You know, once I qualified to get into this profession, it got me qualified as a solicitor, I got my higher rights, and I moved on from there. You know, I moved on to the CPS. You know, CPS is the biggest law firm in the country. And then, of course, used the experience I've built at MAJ and the CPS to then go to the independent bar. And, you know, I feel like I'm flourishing now. I'm presenting in front of juries all the time. I'm winning jury trials. So I feel like I'm a very competent barrister. But
I think so. We can all agree with that.
If it wasn't for MAJ giving me that chance and saying, you know what, we're going to take a chance on you. You've got some potential there. Who knows? I may have still been a paralegal. I may have dropped out the race. My qualifications may have gone stale. Who knows? So if it wasn't for that one opportunity, that one person giving me a chance, who knows? So yeah, I'm forever grateful.
That's so nice. And when I first heard that question, I was like, oh, I don't know, who would it be? But after listening to your answer, now I do know mine, which is very similar. So I would say the small high street firm that, you know, gave me my first full-time job back when I was at university. So I've spoken of this on the podcast before. So I was very lucky. I was the one student in my year chosen to do a professional placement. So it was with a firm called HL Interactive Solicitors that became Ascent, and it still is Ascent to this day, part of the Owen Mitchell group. So they were the ones I was, you know, didn't have a clue what I was doing, what I was talking about, but they just took a chance. It was a lady called Adele Lomas who interviewed me. I'm sure she won't mind me shouting her out if she ever does see this. Yeah, and she gave me a chance, and I thrived so much at that firm. I absolutely loved it. You know, when you find yourself somewhere, you just click.
Yes, yeah,
Like
yeah,
I just clicked with all the people. I went back there after university. I climbed up the ranks, so I was promoted again and again. Went over from the volume team to the non-standard team, so I was working around all the solicitors, and all of the solicitors like knew how much I wanted to be a solicitor myself, and they just nurtured me and mentored me so much. Just had
yeah,
so much time for me, and although regrettably they weren't large enough to offer their own training contracts at the time, so you had to go through a Mitchell, which, as I mentioned, they were subsidiary of, so they're all part of the same group. I don't think I would have ever got that training contract if it weren't for everything that they did for me
mm,
whilst I was with them. So yeah, I think I would credit my big break to them. So yeah, you never know where your break's going to come from, I suppose.
you really don't. You really don't.
Oh, that was a nice question. I feel
Yeah, I
all
like that one.
sentimental now.
Yeah, we're getting some nice messages and questions this week, aren't we?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we really are. We really are. You're being very kind to us, everyone. Okay, so we said this was going to be about 20 minutes to make sure you were okay, and then we finished this so I could edit it and get it out.
Yeah,
So shall we just have a very quick recap of what's coming up, and then we'll let you get back to work?
I think so. So, 7th of September, we've got the National Speed Mooting Competition Autumn Cup. Second time we brought the competition to London. It was fantastic last year. I'm sure it's going to be even better this year. So we're looking forward to that. Obviously, the Pupillage Fair on the 28th of September. So if you want to come to Liverpool, have a nice day out, come and meet some, lots of great organisations, you can do so. Go on the website, speedmooting.com, click the link and sign up and get your place. It's free to attend. And next week, we have the next legal session of the Legal Advocacy Club. So that will be all based on witness handling. So you'll have the opportunity to do evidence in chief and some cross-examination. Cross-examination, one of the most fun aspects of advocacy, particularly in the criminal courts. So it's an assault by beating trial in the magistrates' court. This case is quite a fun one to get your teeth into. So if you want to join the Advocacy Club, visit speedmooting.com, click the link for the Advocacy Club and sign up there.
Amazing.
All right, well, I think that brings us towards the end of another episode. We thought it would be a condensed one, but we've been going for some time. So I've enjoyed recording this
Can't help
one.
ourselves, can we?
Have you enjoyed recording this, Hayley?
Oh, I have, John.
We hope you've enjoyed listening. So until next time, bye.
Bye.